I'm Mary Beth McAndrews from Dread Central, and I am excited to be chatting with you today about Slayers. So, my
Yeah.
first question for you is what drew you to the script for Slayers?
Well, the script came to me from my friend Asher, who directed it. I've known Asher for over a decade. We've been friends forever. And so when he came to me with the script and asked if I wanted to just come in as producer at first, I thought, oh, how fun to do something in the vampire genre.
Yeah.
I've never done anything quite like it. And again, was just set to produce at first, and thought, yeah, I'll help you put this together. This is a fun little script, um, and my husband hopped on and was going to be part of it. And then Asher came back and said, well, what about you playing the queen vampire? And I just thought, wow, that has a nice ring to it. I would love to. But yeah, I just, it's always about it. There's always different things that draw someone to a script, and this
Yeah.
was more the genre of being able to play in a vampire film. And I liked that he was marrying, modern society with some old legendary tales, having influencers mixed with vampires to
So,
bring
are
in a
you
new audience.
yeah, are you a vampire fan? Like, do you like vampire movies, vampire media? Is that like a thing that you enjoy?
So I do, but I'm not. I wouldn't say I'm a vampire fan. I can't tell
Okay.
you all the vampire. I've
Oh, yeah.
watched vampire films. I mean, Interview with the Vampires for me is perfection. And I've seen a few others
Oh,
as
yeah.
well, but I'm in general not a horror or I veer more towards comedy or character pieces.
Well, so you've been in a couple horror movies or like horror comedies, especially The Final Girls, which you were incredible in, and Slayers.
Thank
What, so
you.
you're not a genre person, but what do you find is so fun about working on horror projects? If there's anything that you kind of learned from working on these kinds of projects?
I listen. I think I'm fascinated by it. I think it's so much fun to be able to, as humans, we have all these emotions and outlets, and I think this is a great way to. Some people like to watch a movie and get to cry and let it all out. Some people want to scream and be scared, and
Yeah.
that's what I love about it. I mean, making the Final Girls as well. I am so easily scared. And so I thought, well, what a great way to do a film, because I won't even have to act. I will be freaked out just making it. Um, but I think it's wonderful. I think I can see there's really a true cult following when it comes to horror and vampires. And each genre has its pocket of fans. I've been to Comic-Con. I see, I love that those are true fans. And I really appreciate that. So, and I think they're a little, um, production wise, they're easier to make. You don't need a big budget like Watchmen, and we can make a fun film for
Yeah.
the fans and get to entertain.
Yeah, and get to have a lot of fun doing it, it sounds like.
Yeah.
But you mentioned Watchmen being a favorite of yours to film. I would love to hear a little bit more about that experience. I know it's like way back, but it's just such an incredible film, and you played the Silk Spectre, and I would just love to hear about that.
It was big. It was like I got to finally play with the big kids. It was big set pieces. It
Yeah.
was incredible actors. Zach Snyder is an incredible visionary. I mean, aesthetically, I think that it was just beautifully done. He had such a vision. He had um, uh, uh, vision board, not vision boards. He had drawn every single scene. So he had so
Oh,
many
wow.
notebooks. Just every single scene he had drawn himself, and he's a true artist. He draws beautifully. He had spent probably a year doing all of his boards,
Oh my god.
um, which was really unique. I'd never seen anything quite like it, which explains why it looks so beautiful. But it was really an incredible experience all around.
Yeah.
Physically getting to do fight training, mentally, just acting with really, um, really incredible theater actors. I felt very green in that because it was sort of in the beginning of my career. So I got to really learn a lot from these actors who had been doing it for a while. And being in in it for 6 months. You
Oh my
get to
God, 6 months.
really immerse yourself in this world. It was 6 months of shooting and 3 months of prep work. So it was 9 months of my life
Oh
on that
wow.
film. And I loved it. I loved every minute of it.
That's incredible. And so you said that you're pretty easily scared. Do you remember the first horror movie you ever saw?
Dracula, funnily enough.
Wait,
And
really? Which
yeah,
one? The original, the OG? Like the
the OG, yeah, the
Okay.
OG. It was on. I wasn't supposed to be watching it. My parents were watching it, and it was that thing of like i- in the stairs, peeking over, watching it, and so freaked out for weeks afterwards, thinking that Dracula was going to come to my window or going to be under my bed. It was just nightmares of that vision of him. Ooh, but yeah,
How
that
old were
was.
you? Do you remember how old you were?
I was probably 6 or 7.
God. Oh no.
Yeah, it was too much for a 6-year-old to see. And I didn't even see the whole film. I just saw,
Uh-huh.
snippets of it from the stairwell. But yeah, that was enough to, I think that's why I have a hard time with scary movies. I was too young. I was introduced to scary films too young,
That's
not
so
even
funny. It's all
introduced.
coming full circle with Dracula and vampire.
Exactly.
And
It's
and
cathartic.
seriously, and I started watching horror too young, but now all I do is watch horror movies. So it's like either one. I started watching horror at 4 years old. Don't
Oh wow.
recommend. Do not recommend.
No, no, exactly. But you turned out fine. See, we're
I
okay.
think so. I turned out all right. But then were there any particular vampires, characters, or movies that you kind of drew from to play this vampire queen at all?
I mean, again, I'll
Cool.
always go back to Interview with the Vampire, but
Oh yeah.
but not really. I think it's through the ages of I've watched more than just that one film, but
Oh yeah.
I think that it's for me it was more about playing her as a real person
Yeah.
who happened to be, I don't want to play the trope. I don't want to play
Yeah.
a caricature of a vampire. So it was more just what would that be like to have lived this long? And I think it's just really knowing yourself and stepping into your power and uh, being very comfortable in your skin and having a lot of street smarts, being able to read people and being able to manipulate people really well. So it was more all of that and then when the fangs came out, they came out and we got to play. But leading up to it was just playing this very uh established woman.
Hell yeah. And like especially the scene with you and Lydia Hurst in the closet where there's like this very interesting power play, almost a little queer
Yeah.
kind of energy between the two of you was really interesting. And I feel like you really imbued a vampire queen. So that's why I was asking because it felt like that. I was
Well,
like,
I'm glad you
love a
felt that
good
way.
sexy closet vampire queen
Yeah.
moment.
That's what I said too while we were filming it. I was like, you don't really know which way this is going to go in
Yeah.
this closet. What's going to happen? Like, are we about to make out? No, I'm about to turn you into a vampire. It's
Weirdly
very
close.
seductive.
Very
Yeah.
seductive. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me today about
Yeah,
Slayers and
sure.
Watchmen and the Final Girls. It was so lovely to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Thank you.